8 pass attempts. And the Niners ran for 285 yards and beat the Packers. So I think if you can't beat them, you have to be them. And that's exactly what the Packers have tried to do. They have loaded up their defense. They drafted 2 guys in the first round, Quay Walker and Devontae Wyatt, instead of a wide receiver, because they understand with Aaron Rodgers, it takes a couple years for a guy to get used to him. It took Devontae Adams 3 years to become his favorite receiver and 5 years to get his first 1,000-yard receiving season. So they're going to lean on their running game, Aaron Jones and Mr. McDickens himself, A.J. Dillon, and that defense, and that will take them farther than Aaron Rodgers has ever done by himself.
Certainly we expect to see a lot from Allen Lazard as Devontae Adams leaves. That's 34%, right, of their receiving yards last year to Allen Lazard. 11% is what he accounted for just last year. All right, so let's talk about the other team, the team favored in the NFC to at least go to the Super Bowl, that being the Bucs. Tom Brady is back at training camp for the first time. He turns 45 a week from today. And yesterday the Bucs added 7-time Pro Bowler receiver Julio Jones. The rich get richer. Here he is on Playing with Brady after losing to him in Super Bowl 51.
Great opportunity for me to be a part of something special in the Buccaneer family. I still got to come to work. I still had to put the work in. Like you can see, Julio with the Bucs. You know, we got Mike, we got Tom, but we all got to put the work in though. It's nothing. Nobody's going to give us anything. Tom is a humble guy, great energy. You know what you're getting out of him. When I talk to him, it's kind of like I'm talking to myself. Just with the leadership, what we expect, and how we hold ourselves accountable to a higher standard than probably most do.
Robert, we just heard Aaron Rodgers talk about the motivation to still play, and that was year 18. Tom Brady in year 23, for a few weeks, deciding to walk away. What expectations do you have for him down in Tampa?
I mean, well, Tom Brady only came back for one reason and one reason only, and that's to win a Super Bowl. And he went on his 40-day cleanse or retirement, whatever you want to call it, and he came back because he believes he can get it done in Tampa. Yes, Julio Jones will help, whether they get Julio from 2017 or Julio from the last 2 years. That's another additional weapon for Tom Brady. Just astonished, like, when is this guy going to stop playing? He played some of his best football last year, throwing for 5,300 yards and 43 touchdowns, and it just seems like everything's coming back for him. His hairline is rejuvenated. His arm strength is back. I mean, what in the Benjamin Button is going on? Tom Brady's collecting rings like Thanos. But take that back. He's actually got more rings than Thanos. So that's what I expect. It's another Super Bowl for Tom Brady, and that's about it.
He does have his more rings than Thanos. I always think of him more as the Terminator, right? He came back because he literally doesn't know how to die. He just can't quit. Tampa Bay, the favorites, win the NFC South. New Orleans with the second best odds in that division. Certainly going to get a bit of a boon if they can get their receiver Michael Thomas back practicing. It was his first practice today for the first time in 18 months. Last year, he opted to undergo surgery less than 2 months before the start of camp, and then he missed the entire season. Here's him today about getting back in the fold.
I'm kind of lost for words. I didn't want to come up here and get emotional or anything, but it was a blessing to definitely be back out there with the guys, being able to put my hand in the pile and just be out there to perfect my craft and compete and encourage guys and get ready to help DA win some games. I'm always up for a good challenge. I mean, I feel like life is, you're going to run into some challenges, you're going to run into some adversity, but I always was taught it's about how you respond, how you come out on the other end.
You know, it's been 3 years since that revelatory season where we saw Michael Thomas have over 1,700 yards, almost 150 passes caught. What are real expectations for him as he works his way back onto the field?
Yeah, El, for Michael Thomas, realistic expectations are 75% of that production. Of course, we want him to be at 100% health and pray that he is. But for Jameis Winston, Chris Olave, Alvin Kamara, and also newly acquired Jarvis Landry, Michael Thomas being at 75% of that production will do wonders for the Saints offense and especially for that defense, which has had the Tampa Bay Bucs number for a number of years now. But you see the emotion in his face, in his voice. He misses football. I believe he is going to set the field on fire. Maybe he doesn't reach those types of numbers, but if he can get about 75% of that production, the Saints will go marching into the playoffs.
Certainly the Saints fans hoping that he finds all of that production week 2 when the Saints have a huge matchup against the aforementioned Tom Brady and the Bucs. Robert Griffin III joining us here on SportsCenter with much more, too. In fact, he's going to tell us how much pressure Justin Herbert should be feeling to take the Chargers to the playoffs in his 3rd year as the Bolts' starting quarterback. Stay right there. There are the men who get paid to literally protect a quarterback on the field, and then there are the teammates who rally in defense off it. At the start of his second full year starting, that's exactly what Eagles quarterback Jalen Hurts is experiencing right now. Amid criticism and cries of pressure, Sal Paolantonio details how Hurts' teammates are rallying in support. It's in tonight's SC Report.
It's going to be on that timely playmaking that Jalen Hurts needs to show.
Is his skill set evolving enough?
That's who I would say probably has the most pressure.
On the first day of training camp in the prove-it year for Eagles quarterback Jalen Hurts, his head coach Nick Sirianni wore a green T-shirt with a life-size portrait of a star-crossed quarterback.
That's who he is, man. That's who he is. He likes to have a little swagger about himself, and he's going to support all his players, regardless of who you are. And you know, he loves it.
The day before, new wide receiver A.J. Brown showed up with a hat supporting Hurts. And earlier in the summer, when a critic questioned Hurts' performance in spring practices, Brown came to the rescue on Twitter.
It's important, number one, because it's the quarterback of my team, number one, you know, and he's my friend, number two, you know, and the story wasn't true, too. So, you know, false narratives come out about quarterbacks, and I just want to clear up the false narratives, and, you know, and that's it. I didn't even know he did it, to be honest. It was casual to me.
I asked Sirianni if the team feels compelled to support or defend Hurts from the relentless outside criticism. The head coach gave a one-word answer, quote, no, unquote. But it sure looks that way, and that's okay. In this town, other quarterbacks have struggled to find unconditional support. The results were not good.
Understand that when you play in a team sport, it's not always about X's and O's. You know, a lot of it is ball, but the other part of it is getting to know that person, being on the same page with that person.
After A.J. Brown talked to the assembled media, I asked him if Jalen Hurts was showing command on the field. Yes, Brown said, but he has to do it every day, and he will, but I can't help him with that. In Philadelphia, Sal Paolantonio, ESPN.
All right, thank you, Sal Pal. Coming up, Robert Griffin III returning, telling us the key